And welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk Tuesdays. I'm Tripp, and I'm with Shalise, the star of the show.
Hi.
Who is in all green.
I am, because this is our St. Patrick's Day edition. And actually, I need to give a shout out to the lady who makes these sweatshirts. This one says, "I'll shamrock your world." It's true. But...
Does she have one that says, "I'll rock your world"?
Probably.
Okay.
Well, okay, so her name is Tanya Owens, and she actually, I got to know her because she lost a son as well a few years ago, and she started making these sweatshirts in honor of him. So not all of these, like most of them say like live and love outward, because that's his thing, but I have one of those too, but this is a special edition for...
Well, you look wonderful, and I didn't even know. I mean, this year, St. Patty's Day kind of snuck up on me, but I was listening to NPR this morning. They were talking about the St. Patty's Day parade and coming up soon, and that's one of the best days in Salt Lake City.
Awesome.
So we have a smart guest today.
Yes, a very smart one. And I'm super excited that she's on our show because she is... I have yet to have a class or a semester at Salt Lake Community College without her as one of my instructors. She's not even sick of me, I don't think. I mean, she's really nice.
I'm definitely not sick of you. I'll be really sad when you move on somewhere else, but I'll be also very happy for you.
I know, and then we can hang out, like, on a personal level and be
No. That teacher-student bond never shall be crossed.
That makes me so sad. Well, yes, it should never be crossed as long as they're your student.
No. What if she gets an incomplete?
Well, then I'll have to see her another semester, and we'll still have that teacher-student thing until she, graduates and moves on.
Okay.
Dude,
well,
I'm getting straight A's. I'm not going to get an incomplete.
Straight A's?
I'm not at liberty to discuss.
Well, this is not like the healthcare thing where you can't, the HIPAA law.
There's a FERPA law.
It's a what?
A FERPA law.
What's a FERPA law?
A FERPA law means you cannot discuss any of the grades, any of the activities of your students at all. Actually, it's a privacy law for students that protects students.
I did not know that existed.
Yeah. So if Shalisa's family contacted me and says, "How's Shalise doing in school?" I can't say anything.
Have they contacted?
I've had students' parents contact me, yeah, and I have to direct them back to the students and say, "You'll have to talk to your student. I can't help you. I'm sorry."
Really?
I'm too old for that, though. My mom's not going to be calling and be like, "Tell me how Shalise is doing in school."
Do you grade on a curve?
No, I do not grade it on a curve. What I do is I encourage all students to work hard to get an A.
That would seem to be kind of logical, but I mean...
Well, not a lot of teachers encourage necessarily that students get an A. They would like their students to work hard to get an A, but I put systems in my classroom that really make them work and push them to get that A. I just don't accept it when it's not A quality. I'm like, okay, you can do better, revise it, give it back to me, and let's see if we can boost your points.
Like my last paper. That's going to be that one. It was bad.
What'd you get?
It hasn't been graded yet. It was a really long week, and I fell short on the paper.
Well, by the way, our guest is Jen. What's your last name?
Klenk. Like you throw a penny in the air and it bounces and goes clink.
Well, I'm of an age when I think of Colonel Klenk.
Yeah, Colonel Klenk. That's also my dad was in the Navy, and Colonel Klenk was huge when my dad was in the Navy, and so people would salute him and say Colonel Klenk, which you don't do in the Navy. That's
No. What was his rank in the Navy?
He was actually an adjunct of the NSA and was a decoder for the Navy.
Ooh,
and
NSA.
Yeah, it was an adjunct, but he was 33 in the draft for Vietnam. And so he thought, well, I better enlist. And so he enlisted and got into a very smart area of the Navy and spent Vietnam in Newfoundland.
Yeah, but on the other hand, just to compliment your father, there were very, very few Viet Cong raids in Newfoundland.
That is true.
That sounded really smart.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah, so he did a heck of a job.
He kept it free and clear. It was mostly just him and some moose. It was okay.
Okay, so Lee was a combat infantryman in the Marines in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Let's hear it for Lee.
Go Lee.
But the Newfies were safe because of your dad.
And that's good because my brother married a Newfie, and so I have little half Newfies that are my nieces and nephews.
You know what's funny about this show is, as usual, Shalise tried to type out a list of things to get me on topic.
Well, you know what's funny is that she is as like she's one of us too. So I was really trying hard, but I knew it would.
How's it work so far?
Well, so far, I mean, it's actually great. This is a great conversation. It's fine.
Okay, well, thank you. So, what do you teach?
I teach marketing, and
Ooh.
I absolutely geek out over it. I absolutely love it. You were talking a little bit about how you were at a museum with your sister-in-law.
Yep.
And she's a professor and was geeking out over everything, and you were just like, I can't wait to get home. That would totally happen to me if I'm in an area that had to do with marketing. If it was like maybe history or chemistry or something like that, I would probably be more like you and try to get through the experience as fast as I possibly could, unless I was marketing that thing. And when you're a marketer, you actually dive in and do the research to become an expert on whatever it is that you're marketing, so that you know how to really promote it and optimize that thing that you're marketing.
Do you know she actually got me to this level in Coffee Talk because she has critiqued the shit out of my show.
Well,
She doesn't send me the links anymore. She's like, I'm not even going to ask you if you saw the show, because I know you're going to give me feedback on it, and I don't know if I want it right now.
So then I was like, why don't you just come on the show? And she's like, okay.
well, that'll work. When it comes to marketing, people get confused, or people don't know the difference between marketing and sales. Can you elaborate that?
Okay, so sales is a part of marketing. It's part of the marketing umbrella. And when you're doing sales, you're actually ultimately promoting a product, which is what marketing is. It's creating awareness and promoting a product. But sales takes a next step further, because now you're closing the deal. And sales, come on, it's about closers. Coffee's for closers, right?
Right.
Okay, Shalise,
Yes.
can I disagree with our guest?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that sales is over marketing, because sales is the function that keeps a business alive. It's the most important function in business. And marketing is a tool to help the sales department.
This is actually true, and this is kind of a chicken and egg kind of question. Is marketing before sales, or is sales before marketing? But in order to be able to do sales, you have to know the product exists, and so there has to be some type of awareness of the product. And in today's world, that awareness is through the internet. If you could do sales all you want, but if you don't have a presence in social media and you don't have a presence in marketing, people aren't going to take your company seriously. So maybe in the past that actually absolutely would be a true statement. But in today's market, you have to have that online social media establishment for people to even give you credibility.
Do you think it's possible for a product just to be that good that you don't have to have the digital presence?
That's very far and few between products that are that good. And the products that we put a ton of value in actually have a ton of marketing behind it. Any major musician that people have heard of, that people buy tickets to the concerts, that buy merch to, there's always a great marketer behind that.
Wow. Jen's very smart.
Oh, she's amazing. she's making me really smart too.
She's already very smart.
Is it osmosis? Do you walk in the classroom and you just get smart by...
I think so, a little bit. She got me to be the president of DECA. I don't know how she's doing these things with me. Like, she got me to the point where I could win Shark Tank that's put on last November.
She won money.
How much did she win?
Well, it wasn't a ton of money. It was enough that it was to get started in a business. It's enough to buy a website, business cards, at least get some awareness out there. It's a $500 startup.
So we need great sales interns.
Great sales interns for the show.
For the studio and for the show.
Okay.
Do you know where you could find some?
Well, the thing with sales interns is if they're in sales, that they're usually incentivized by some type of reward or money.
Yes, we call that money. Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe intern isn't the right way.
So
the right
you need
way
sales representatives.
Yes, we need sales representatives.
We could give them a commission for every sale that they get, and they could do it 100% commission. That's fine.
Great. Because, and that's the hard... So in this town, we have a core of people that are used to going out and asking for something that's very difficult, and those are return missionaries.
That's still sales. You're still selling.
Oh, yeah, you're out selling religion door to door. That's not easy.
My sales teacher actually just said, he was like, missionary work is probably the hardest sales job ever.
I think anytime that you are trying to sell a new idea or change somebody's mind on something, that's one of the hardest things that you could do. So politics too, that's a huge thing. To go door to door and do campaigning, that's one of the hardest sales jobs that anyone can do as well.
And they have a lot of kids, and this is again an LDS thing, where they go and sell alarm equipment door to door in other cities. And I've run into a bunch of people whose kids do it and stuff. And it's funny.
So
maybe
the alarm thing is not the church thing. The alarm there, but there's a lot of members of the church that work for the alarm company. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I just want to clarify.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the LDS church does not get 10% of your alarms. But here's the thing: is that they get into this thing where they go and they sell alarms. And a lot of friends of mine who are in the church, their kids do it, and right, it's not part of the church, but they'll go off and make $5,000-$6,000 a month.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that capitalize on return missionaries when they come home because they're super, super marketable. A lot of them have 2 languages now that they speak. They have a lot of door-to-door experience. They're used to being told no, which is a huge thing in sales. You just get to a point where you don't even hear no anymore. You just keep going. And they're able to really understand how to read people and connect with people. And that's a really huge thing. And so a lot of companies capitalize on that. And it's not just alarm companies. You also see it with solar panel companies, pest control companies.
Yeah, those too.
Yeah, a lot of those too. But even above and beyond that, one of the companies that you would be surprised about is the CIA. And the CIA actually goes after a lot of BYU students because they tend to have traditionally a cleaner record that it's easier to pass security clearance, and they speak 2 different languages. And a lot of CIA operatives actually have come from BYU.
Really?
So it's really interesting when you start looking at how far the outreach is from that, and the careers that you can get just from serving a mission.
Wow.
So a lot of business skill sets that
this was an angle I didn't see us going in 15 minutes
this
ago.
is a total angle, and it's something that's super sensitive. There are some people. I had a student that was a new convert, and he was very offended, actually, when I equated like serving a mission and learning skill sets on a mission to marketing and business concepts. And for him, this was a very personal thing, and it was humanitarian work that he was going to go out to do. And so he was very offended when you equated other skill sets to it. But then I have a ton of other, my family grew up LDS, and I have a ton of family members and a ton of other people that have really benefited in business. And the skill sets that they learned on their mission translated very well into business. But I would also say the skill sets you learn playing sports translate very well into business.
And Shalise and Jen, I get a lot of people through here who want to get into business. And a lot, in particular, we had an intern who wanted to get into sports business in particular. And she was addicted to hockey. And my advice to every one of them is if you can get into an organization as a sales rep, in any organization, you control your own ticket. If you are great at sales, you will never have to worry about a job ever again.
No, this is very true. You have a lot of leverage when you're in sales.
Oh, my gosh.
But
yeah.
the difference is, the skill sets are pretty much the same going from industry to industry, but the big difference is knowing when to jump industry and go into a different industry. For example, I know a couple guys that made a ton of money doing hair products and janitorial supplies, which, janitorial supplies.
Okay, it's glamorous.
Yeah, well, not super glamorous. I actually worked at a place where
I was a toilet paper salesman in the late 80s. I'm serious.
Did you do well?
I made a pot of money.
All right. See, that's where the gold is at the end.
And
of
I
the
didn't even realize where I went on that until about 5 seconds later. Yeah, I miss those days. Knowing that it's not glamorous. When you meet a young lady and she says, "What do you do?" and you say you're a toilet paper salesman, it doesn't.
Is that why you didn't get married till just a few months ago?
Okay, it took a while to get the stain off from my reputation. I had to wipe it for many years. But seriously, it's funny how you do a job, and that was the perfect job. You made a lot of money, expense account through the roof, company car, everything you could want in a job. But it's funny, human nature, you always want to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not glamorous to say, hey, I sell toilet paper, and it's not glamorous to be in waste management, but the money is good and it pays really well. And it's fairly recession-proof because everybody is going to need toilet paper.
Right.
So it's a really great industry to be in. But the one area where beauty products and janitorial supplies, they were really hot for a while, those industries are starting to be affected by Amazon. And so the sales reps that are part of those industries, like Waxy and Expedex and some of those other industries, they're starting to feel the pain and the crunch from Amazon sales. And right now, toilet paper is really hard to get. Like,
On
we're prepared.
that note, we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back with more. All right, welcome back. Coffee Talk Tuesday. I'm Shalise Stevens with my lovely co-host Trip Mitchell and my lovely instructor Jen Klenk. And I'm so excited that she's on. And I really wanted to have her on because, of course, we're interviewing people that are making a difference in the community. And she works at Salt Lake Community College, which is an incredible experience. And I'm having so much fun being a student here. And it's because of teachers like Jen. And so we've had a lot of deep conversations. And I have a couple questions that I want you to talk about, because being an instructor at such a diverse college has got to be challenging in and of itself sometimes. I mean, what do you love about your job? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I was a student at Salt Lake Community College, just like you, and out of all the schools that I've worked with and I've gone to, I loved the resources that were available at Salt Lake Community College, and I honestly felt like the entire school was really set up for the success of the student, and I never felt like that at any other college. And I thought that Salt Lake Community College offered so many opportunities that students weren't taking advantage of, and it really was probably the most impressionable part of my life. So I always had this game plan that when I went there, I wanted to go and do some good in the world and make it in the world and come back and share what I learned so that I could maybe help people miss steps that they don't need to take, that it would be very expensive for them to take, and kind of find a faster way to get to the finish line. And I have loved every part of the journey. I have to tell you, I love the students that I work with. I love that Salt Lake Community College is one of the most diverse schools in the state. And I love the diversity component. I have a class right now where I only have one Caucasian student in that class, and it's one of my favorite classes to teach. And because everybody in that class is from a different part of the world, and so our conversations are so much more enriched than people coming from the same place in the same area. When you get a lot of different perspectives in the same room, that's where the truth growth starts to happen. And I get to do that with every part of diversity, whether they're diverse in ability, diverse in socioeconomic status, diverse in faith, or diverse in race and culture. And it's just been probably one of the best experiences of my life. I also got to teach in India, which was really cool as well. Shalise is going to go to India this summer and get to experience that. I'm super excited for her. But
it's her fault. She twisted my arm in 2 sentences.
You're going to India this summer?
I am. I'm doing the study abroad program that she raved about, and she's like, you just got to do it. And I'm like, well, you only live once. Let's go.
That's a major... There are very few nonstops between Salt Lake City and New Delhi.
This is true. It's
a
very long trip.
You really, I can just see in Shalise's eye, you've made a heck of a difference in her.
Well, she makes a heck of a difference in me. Like, I am blessed to have 30 people every other hour that enrich my lives in new and different ways. And so I'm always inspired by the things that Shalise is doing. I'm really proud of the progress that she's made. And from where she started to where she is just in 1 year. And I was like, wow, if you can move like fire in 1 year, what are you going to do in the next 5? What are you going to do in the next 10? I'm super excited to see what the journey's going to look like.
She might have just peaked. This is the first year it's all downhill from here.
She definitely has not peaked. Okay. This is just the launching pad.
Wow.
And so I'm really excited to see where that springboards her to.
I never had teachers like you.
It's awesome. And the thing about Salt Lake Community College is that Jen is a part of it. And there's this whole section of teachers that have really, like, if you talk about inspirational teachers on a community college level, these teachers, they're there because they love what they do. Mm-hmm. And it's so, I've had so much help and so much support. We actually have another one of my instructors on next week.
Yeah, Trip, I'm not her favorite teacher. She's got other teachers she likes more.
Okay.
No!
But I'm like maybe in the top 3.
So I got in trouble this weekend. My sister-in-law is a professor at Colgate. And that is a brilliant East Coast snobby school. Uh-huh. With really smart people. And I was singing the praises of community college yesterday because I was lucky enough to work with Clark County Community College in Vegas as a sponsor of the football games and got to meet 13 deans or 13 heads of departments. And I think that community college is the way to go. I don't think that you're insane to pay. If you have to pay your own way through school, to go to university for your first 2 years is insane.
Oh, yeah. Well, and also, your first 2 years out of high school, you're just trying to figure things out. And
Bingo.
There's less risk trying to figure it out at a community college and trying to figure it out at a university. And the thing is like college can be scary for people, and some people aren't ready, but their parents push them to go right away because that's what you're supposed to do, is that college experience. But community college is a great way to just kind of find yourself and really take advantage of a lot of the resources available to you. Like, for example, if you're a community college student, you get a free Trax Pass for the year, the academic year, which is huge. That saves a ton of money on transportation. You actually get health benefits, like you can get counseling sessions for $15 a session, which makes it super affordable if you have mental health issues and you need to get that resolved.
I'm going to sign up right now.
Right. I mean, if you even just as signing up for a gym class, like a 1-credit gym class, is going to be less expensive than signing up for a Trax Pass for like the entire year. Our students also get full access to the Adobe Suite while they're a student for the entire year. So there's all these other benefits that you get with being a college student. You get massages for cheap. And we have just so many great curriculums and programs that you can dive into. And not everybody's meant to work a desk job. Some people need a job where they can work with their hands, and you can make a ton of money working in welding and some of the trades that we have at Salt Lake Community College. And those are becoming more and more in demand as less and less people go into those fields.
Well, and it was interesting because we had the dean of the auto program and now it's called Southern Nevada Community College. But he was in, and the average graduate would make $80,000 a year going to work at a transmission shop after 2 years of undergrad. $80,000 a year to start.
Wow.
Yeah, and welding is somewhere in that wheelhouse as well. It's somewhere in that ballpark.
How is podcasting?
Podcasting actually has to do a lot with marketing, because if you have a good marketing strategy behind it and you know how to get the awareness out there for your podcast. And podcast actually is another way to market a product or market a brand, market a person. So Trip, your personal brand, this podcast would be a way for you to market your personal brand. And that's something that maybe you want to start beefing up a little bit so that you can use the podcast as part of your marketing strategy.
Well, we just moved our morning show from 5:30 to 6:30, so that's a good sign.
That is a good sign.
My personal brand might have one more person, except when they realize that they're all reruns. So maybe my personal brand needs some upgrading. But
Yeah. And just like you were saying, she's helped so much with just the little things, the little critiques that she's been able to give you. I can talk to you, not just she. That you've been able to give have made it so from, I don't know what, just 6 months ago to now.
Oh, huge.
It's a huge difference.
Night and day. Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm super proud of Shalise. Like, she has just been a shining light in our marketing department and in DECA and the things that she's been able to contribute to the college.
Club?
DECA is our business marketing club where the students actually compete in business and marketing, and it's kind of like a fraternal organization in that it's all over the United States. It's national, and there's like pins, and people get really hyped about DECA. It starts in high school and then carries up.
Because I remember my business partner in the TV station was a DECA coach in high school, and it is funny, and high school is wasted on many people. But if you pick up a few things and then you grow up, keep building on those, you can have a great life.
Oh, absolutely. And the beauty part of DECA is you are meeting people from all over the United States. So what we tell our students is it's one thing to go to school and get that piece of paper that said you did something and shows that you completed something, but it's another thing to graduate where you have a little bit of job experience, you have that piece of paper, and you have a network. And that's like the trifecta. That's the ultimate thing that you're going for. Because if you have a network, more people get jobs off their network than they do off of just sending in resumes cold. People
hire people they know.
Yep. That's exactly right.
And we had interns last year for the podcast, and one of the young ladies she was, as a senior in college at Westminster, she was booking all the shows they do down in Pioneer Park. And she knew from that was her experience as an intern. She went right to work for that production company as their talent buyer. That, for a 23-year-old, that is pretty great.
Oh, absolutely.
And you probably have a bunch of stories like that.
I've had students that during the semester landed their dream job before they even finished college. And I was one of those students. I actually landed my dream job Well, this is my new dream job. But
I was going to say you're double timing here, but go
double
ahead.
timing, yeah. But I had my dream job when I was, I think, 20 years old. I wasn't even old enough to drink yet. And I got the job while I was still in college, and I got it through network. I got my first foot in the door working in an office at KSL. And then that job led to...
Probably best not to drink if you're working at KSL.
No, I did not
just
drink
a thought.
while I was working at KSL. Absolutely not. But then it springboarded into another job, into another position where I was producing, and that was what I wanted to do. I started out as a film student and in communications and broadcast. And
Chris, our director, is a film graduate from the University of Utah. Let's hear it for Chris.
Yay, Chris! That's a fun program.
How much did that cost, Chris?
$35,000.
$35,000.
That's a very expensive program.
That was half tuition.
But he knows when he turns on a TV if it's a film or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did KSL, what was that like?
KSL was great. It was my very first job. I worked in TV traffic. And so I learned about the business side of broadcasting. And I learned about how advertising affects everything basically in the media industry. Advertising is what really feeds and drives that. And so it doesn't matter if you're a news station, if you're doing something that you want to make a change in the community. If there's not some type of advertising behind it, it's really hard to get the funds to get it out there and get awareness for it. Now, that's changed a little bit because of social media, you can put something up on Facebook or Instagram, and you can create change if it's a powerful enough message. And it's very inexpensive compared to what it used to be. But I learned a lot working. I worked for KSL Radio, and we did TV traffic for KSL Radio and KSL Television. And I would absorb as much as I possibly could about that business. And I had some really great mentors. I did a lot of work with Doug Wright, who is one of my favorite people on the planet. He was so kind and so great with me when I was so young. And I'd really seek out producers that I admired and offered to be just a production assistant during their set, just so that I could learn what they're doing and then figure out how to translate that into what I was supposed to do on the job. And after about a year and a half of doing that, I landed the job that was my dream job. And some of my BYU professors applied for the same job, which made me really nervous because they wrote the job for me. And some of my professors applied, and they have the degrees, they have the experience, but the job was written for me, so I was able to get that job. And that goes to show you how powerful the network is, because even though they had higher education and they had more experience.
What was your dream job there?
I actually was in a producer capacity, and I would produce commercials and promotional videos. I did a documentary. I would recut films to be put out. And this was so long ago. This was like in 25 years ago. So this was back when there was a Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. But I would create promo videos that were sales videos that actually went out to all of the retailers for them to buy our product. And we had a library of product. And then I got to be part of so many different projects while I was working there too. I got to be part of the marketing team. I got to be we had a music label. I got to kind of play around with the music label. Kurt Bester was on our label. It was so much fun, and everybody was so kind to work with me and mentor me through that process. And
is there a glass ceiling?
There was not a glass ceiling at the organization that I was with, because this was like a really one-off thing that was created at KSL. I did not see a glass ceiling at KSL, other than when you start getting into maybe some of the vice president positions, but there were still some women in those positions.
And one of the things, Shalise, that I would recommend for you in your future is that TV sales is one of those jobs that women excel in. And if you're the worst TV salesperson for a good station, you make $100,000 a year.
Wow.
If you're good, it's $200 to $300.
Yeah.
And it is the lifeblood of every TV station, and you would be amazing at it.
Thank you.
You really would.
Yeah.
And a station would be lucky to have you.
Oh, yeah. And back then, I mean, we had ER, we had Seinfeld, we had the Super Bowl, and we had the Summer Olympics. And then they also had profit sharing.
Wow.
And so as a young person, our ratings were super high, we were super hot, and I could see the rewards from that. And so that was very impressionable.
Fantastic.
It made me excited about sales.
Well, Jen, you have made such a difference and such an impact in my life, and I am so excited to continue my journey with you as well, and I really appreciate you coming on our show and talking about some of your your stuff and why I think you're amazing.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here, actually. I think you are absolutely fantastic, and I was very excited to see the progress that you've been making since you started and everything that you've done. You've raised so much money for your Rainy Days Foundation, and I'm super proud of you and the efforts that you put forth through that. And I could see the difference in the students. I actually got to go to one of her fundraising events and meet some of the families and some of the children, and it was phenomenal. Just the difference that she's been able to make in these people's lives and how much they really appreciate the effort. And so I'm super proud to be, just in the presence of the greatness of my students that are able to go above and beyond the classroom and really make a difference in the community. And I think Shalise is a shining example of that.
Any examples of greatness in some of your students' co-hosts?
Absolutely, Trip.
Okay.
You're getting there, buddy. All right.
This is where we're
Just
building your
wondering.
brand. We're going to build the Trip brand of greatness.
Well, I think on that note, we'll get the heck out of here. I want to thank everyone involved. Chris Gillum, Lee, you are amazing. Thanks for doing everything you do.
Thank you,
and
guys.
the folks at Let's Do Something Productions.
Yeah.
For Shalise, I'm Trip.
And I'm Shalise, and that's Trip.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.